Hi, my name is Norm Hanson. You've probably seen me around. I'm the guy with the camera. So what I'd like to talk to you today is a little bit about watercolour postcards. I've been using a couple of varieties that you can buy already pre-made. So these are some watercolour papers I've used to make postcards previously. This one I got fairly recently from Eckersley's, I think in Queensland. And this one I've had for a long time. I bought a couple of boxes. I'll have to look up the name again. They're German, but they're pretty good. And one of them I've had for a long time. This is actually the first postcard I sent, which is my place down at Venus Bay, actually, looking out on the deck. And I sent it to my mother. It arrived fine. This is dated 2011. So you just paint on the watercolour paper, put a stamp on the back and send it. But today I'm going to show you how to make your own postcards out of a half sheet of watercolour paper. But I should begin with why postcards and watercolour postcards in particular are such a good thing during the coronavirus lockdown. Some researchers in the United States published a paper in early March where they had tested the virus and the original SARS virus on different surfaces. It probably was a pretty unpleasant task, sitting there for hours measuring the time taken for the virus to die. But their findings were that the virus only lasted in the air 3 to 4 hours. You're pretty sure it was all gone by 4 hours. On cardboard, which I assume is a very good facsimile for watercolour paper, it lasted from 8 to 24 hours. 24 hours you'll be certain it's all gone. Whereas for plastics and metal, stainless steel specifically, you had to wait 72 hours to guarantee that the virus was dead. So there's plenty of time for us to quarantine the cards, and just going through the post is much longer than the normal time frame that it expired. And the person at the end, if they really want to, they could handle it with gloves, or they could just set it aside for one day, 24 hours, and there'll be no chance that the virus will get spread using a simple postcard. So what I'd like to do is get back to showing you how all this happens. I've got a Heath Robinson setup for my camera, which I'll have to set up, and then I'll show you how to go about ripping a half sheet of paper into into postcard size. Hi, the idea here is I want to show you how to make your own postcards with watercolour paper. And here's a set of postcards that were made up for the Watercolour Society. This is an incredibly rare one because there's a typo on it somewhere. I can't see it. And I'm just going to measure. It's just a bit under 15 centimetres by around 10 centimetres. That's roughly 6 by 4 inches in the old measurements. That's a standard sort of postcard. So to make one out of a bit of watercolour paper, this is a half sheet. Now don't worry, this painting's been pronounced dead on arrival, so it's going to good use now. So it's just a case of folding it in half. And now we've got something that is about not quite 20 centimetres by about 29 centimetres. So it's the same sort of ratio as the postcard, but by the time we get the final, if we break this in half, we'll end up with 15, 2 lots of 15, and if we break that in half, we'll end up with 2 lots of 10. So we'll get basically 4 cards, 8 cards out of this one sheet. So hopefully I'm going to... Julian Brewer showed me this, and it's a nice technique. If you've got fairly thick paper, just sort of bend it. It creates a bit of a fold in it, and then if you carefully tear, and you tear it by sort of pulling the 2 pieces apart, not lifting one up. And the big advantage of doing it this way is you get beautiful deckled edges. Okay, so now we just fold that in half again. Just pressing down on both sides. Same deal, just tear it slightly and then pull it apart. And we've still got one more fold to do. So I've ended up with, if I keep going, I've ended up with 8 postcards. They're a fraction smaller than the original postcard, but they're fine to post. Okay, it's as easy as that. So I'd like to move on to something really nifty as a way to store your postcards before you use them. So back to the demo. I'd like to wind up with a really neat way to store your postcards. I saw this at Joan Lindsay's down in Langwarrin. Hopefully we will get to go to the Lindsay's house for a paint out, not sure when, but it's run by the National Trust and it's pretty much exactly as it was left. Paint still on the pallets, sketches on the easels, fantastic artwork on the walls everywhere, and in Joan Lindsay's bedroom there's a little thing like this. Hers is made of wood, but it's just 2 pieces of wood and a ribbon going through the wood, so it's very easy to make. I made mine out of foam core, and I travelled across Canada a couple of years ago, and I just had all my watercolours stored inside this. It fitted in my camera bag. You can see the scratches on the and dents on the foam core board. You just tie them up. But this unfinished postcard that was never sent. I just drew on the back a few things. There's quite a few. Canada is very flat. Out there's a lake. There's the train. Oh, that's the beach at Toronto. But it's a terrific little store for your watercolour postcards. And you just have to tie it up and it'll fit anywhere. So good luck with it. Okay, I trust that my video is not too bad and you're able to follow what I did. I really encourage you to say hello to someone, particularly in the Watercolour Society, and send them a postcard. Won't take you long to do. If you want to, post how you've done it and what you're doing on Facebook. I've had a bit of fun doing that, and maybe that's another way to find out who would like to get your postcard. You could just say, who wants this? At the moment, I'm limiting the ones I sent out to only Watercolour Society members. Anyway, hope you have some fun with this. See ya.